Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chloé and this is Brands of Chloé, a channel centered around books, food, personal finance, and travel. So as you can see from the title of the video, I will be giving you guys tips for solo traveling. Now, for safety reasons, you probably aren't traveling, or there are so many restrictions for travel anyway. But I think it is a great time for this video because with solo traveling, one of the biggest things that you need to prepare for are just planning the trip and make sure you have everything down packed. So I'm putting this video out now, that way you have plenty of time to plan your next solo trip. Stay tuned and we will get into all these tips for you.
That is more than body, face, and smile. You see me and you look beyond it, you feel inspired.
So I've been on a few solo trips before. I've been to Washington, D.C., I've been to Miami, Florida twice. I've been to Houston, Texas, and Denver and Boulder, Colorado. So in the United States, those are all the solo trips I've done. And then abroad, I've done Spain and France. So I have a few different experiences that I could share with you guys that will help you get prepared for your next solo trip. If you've never been on a solo trip before and you kind of are on the fence about it, I do think it is a great experience. So as I said from the start, one of the biggest things with solo trips are just doing all the planning and the research. You want to start for your location. Once you have a location in mind, you definitely want to think about getting your flights, think about accommodations. Now, I can do a video for you guys on budget traveling tips and tricks and how to get the best deals. I've definitely scored some really great flights before and I have some tips there, and even with accommodation. So if you guys want to hear about that, let me know down below in the comments and I can make that video too. But this video, I'll just talk about the overall planning. So you have your location and you have your flights. Now you're planning on the actual area where you are staying. So big things you want to look into when you're picking Airbnb, hotel, resort, whatever it is, you definitely want to look at the location, proximity to the airport, to where the things, attractions you want to go to the city, the area, everything that you are trying to get to, you want to see the best location for you. On top of distance to things, you also want to check on the safety of this location. Especially if you are a solo traveler, you want to know that you are going to be in a safe destination. So definitely do a lot of research on that. When I was planning my Europe trip, that was my first solo trip abroad by myself. Well, obviously by myself. That was my first solo trip. So I was researching heavy on the best areas in Barcelona for me to stay by myself. And the hotel that I picked was perfect. It was walking distance from a lot of the attractions that I needed. It was safe. I felt super safe, and I read a lot of reviews on people saying themselves they felt safe walking in the area. It was definitely great. My hotel itself, the staff was super helpful in pretty much all the questions, and I'll get into that too because they helped me a lot with the transportation, and transportation is another section. Do your research, read the reviews. If you are booking on Airbnb, look for reviews because I think most people probably have had a crazy scenario with Airbnb, but just do your research, read the reviews, and pick an accommodation that works best for you. Another part of the planning stage is just kind of knowing what you want to do. So if it's a very popular city, there's probably already a list of things that you must see when you're in this location. So you could look at those lists, but also keep in mind that those are probably going to be very touristy. So just try to do your own research to see if there's something local that you could find that you may be interested in. Or if you know somebody who's been to that location, if you know somebody who's from that destination, ask them for tips or suggestions. When I went to Houston for my solo trip, so the purpose of that trip was actually for the On the Run tour to concert with Beyonce and Jay-Z. So I was kind of just in Houston for a couple of days, but one of my old coworkers was from Houston, so I asked him just on things to do, and he gave me a huge list of different areas in Houston, restaurants, food, nightlife, everything. If you know of people who are from these areas or have been there, definitely ask them because I'm sure they will have experiences too, and they could tell you, oh, don't go there, or definitely check this one out, something that you might not find from your online researches. So use those resources as well. Another tip for you is definitely know the currency of where you're traveling to. So if you're traveling in your own country, you know the currency, that's fine. But if you're going abroad, definitely be prepared with the currency. Before my Europe trip, I realized that my main credit card was not going to be accepted in Europe at all. So at that time, I was already kind of planning on getting a second credit card anyway, so it worked out. So I made sure that the new credit card I was getting was going to be accepted pretty much everywhere worldwide. So that one has now become my travel credit card. And I have a lot of information on credit cards as well, but again, I won't get into that in this video. I could do another video for that. If you are traveling abroad with credit cards or any type of debit card, try to make sure that your card doesn't charge you foreign transaction fees. Another thing, so if you're going to a destination that has a different currency, what I did before my Europe trip was I actually exchanged some of my US dollars for euros before I got to Europe. And I did that so just in case when I got there, if I wasn't able to find a currency exchange place right away, at least I knew I had some euros on me and I can get by for a couple of days without needing to exchange any money. So definitely look into if you could exchange money beforehand. For that trip, I exchanged my dollars at my bank. At another trip that wasn't a solo trip for me, I ended up exchanging money at the airport. You probably have your own opinions about exchanging money at the airport. I just did it that trip. I needed it last minute, whatever. I couldn't stop at the bank, but you can definitely find different exchange places. But that is another thing to look into also. Before you get to your trip, look in the area of your accommodations where you can exchange money if you don't want to exchange money at an airport. So look into that as well. Transportation. You want to look for transportation to get you from the airport to your accommodation or your starting point. You want to look for transportation options when you're in the area that you are staying in. I've used Uber in different countries and different cities, and I haven't had problems with it. And as I mentioned earlier, my hotel in Barcelona was super helpful with transportation. Staff actually gave me a map and they explained the whole like metro system to me. And I mean, I'm from New York and I take the subway all the time when I was going to work. Back in the old normal days of traveling to work. Not anymore, I'm working from home. But I'm used to a transit system. So they explained the metro to me there. And from that, I was able to get around different parts in Barcelona. Don't always need to take a private cab or Uber if you don't want to. And especially taking the metro saved a lot of money instead of taking an Uber. So definitely look into that. And if you need help, there are apps too that I used for directions. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they're on my phone. So I'll put them down in the description box. But there's definitely helpful apps for getting around. I looked into those. I remember I downloaded maps of like all the destinations I was going to before I went. That way, if I ever didn't have cell phone service or data, I could still like look at directions from the actual map. I gave myself that option just so that I can never really be stuck, just in case. Just look into all of your transportation options, whether if you are in a destination where you could fly to another country that's super close by, look into those flights ahead of time. Look into trains, buses, metro, subways, all of those options. Another big tip, this you won't need if you're doing a solo trip within your own country, but solo trip or not, if you are going to a different country that speaks a different language, learn the basics of that language at minimum. I think it's kind of rude to go to a different country and not at least have the basic greetings. Hello, good morning, good night. Those are basic greetings, but then you should also want to learn different things like how do I get there, or my name is, or how or where is the metro? Can you help me with directions? Can you take a picture for me? And we'll get into the picture taking options too. Definitely learn the basics, because you also, if you're going to a different country that speaks a different language, you probably will be not lost. You'll probably need help or some type of directions at some point, and you can't just expect a native person to speak English because you speak English. Definitely learn some of the language and people will respect you. And I just mentioned picture taking, asking for a picture. So I know if you're by yourself, it probably would seem weird to be taking selfies, but don't worry about that. People take pictures all the time. If you were in a destination and you were super excited and you want that picture, take that picture, take your selfie. Don't be embarrassed. Traveling solo definitely gives you an independent feeling, and I feel like you kind of learn yourself a little bit more, and it's just a different experience versus traveling with a group of friends, family, all that. It's definitely different. Sometimes you need a picture though that you kind of wish you had somebody else to take it for you. So one thing is you can ask somebody to take a picture for you. Definitely use your own judgment because you don't want somebody to run off with your phone or camera. But if you're in a super touristy destination, more than likely there's other tourists there who are also trying to get pictures. So first of all, somebody might ask you to take a picture for them. So in that instance, after you take a picture for them, you ask them to take a picture for you. You guys both can benefit from that. Or if you don't feel comfortable or you don't want to ask people to take pictures for you, invest in a tripod selfie stick. I was talking to my friend before going on one of my trips and she told me about this, and I found one on Amazon and I love it. So I used it in like all my solo trips, but even now I use it. This is actually it. Even now I use it when I'm being lazy. If I want to just like prop my phone up on something, it's pretty good. Extends like a lot, and it even has a clicker so you can connect your phone by Bluetooth with the clicker. But it's really good. I will link this down in the description box so you can find this, because this I love absolutely, and it's super compact. Like if you're traveling light, you could put this anywhere. This is great. A tripod selfie stick is definitely a good investment for traveling solo, so you could take your own pictures. So another part of your trip will be activities. Unless you're going to a remote destination and you know you just want to relax, say like on a beach or wherever, and not go anywhere, that's one thing. But most likely you are going to travel to this destination to see the area, to see the place, and you want to do some fun things. So look in advance for parks, museums, clubs, and party scenes if that's what you want to look into. Bars, restaurants. Another good place to look, so besides looking online, I think there's obviously a ton of websites so you can do your research, or just even like cities and countries typically have their own website, so you could look on their website too to see what they are advertising for people to see. Another great thing to look into is Airbnb experiences. I've had some pretty great activities and excursions, I guess you could call them, planned through Airbnb experiences. Definitely look into that. I know, also related to the picture taking, when I was in Barcelona for my birthday, I decided to treat myself to a photo shoot that I found on Airbnb experiences. I was like, this is so cool. The whole reason why I've always wanted to go to Barcelona is from the Cheetah Girls. Yes, the Cheetah Girls. Do not judge me. They went to Park Güell, and that was just the place I had to visit on my birthday in Barcelona. So I found this experience that had a photo shoot there, and I booked it, and it ended up being really great. I got some great pictures. I could put some of those on the screen. I got great pictures. She was super nice. Definitely a great experience. And I've seen in other cities too, like a lot of photographers will list that type of experience on Airbnb. So look into that too. It's something different if you're in a different city or country and you want to get some really good pictures and you're by yourself. You could book a photo shoot, and it's definitely affordable. A lot of locals will put experiences up there where you could learn to cook a signature dish from that area in their home. Definitely look for different experiences. Don't think because you're by yourself you are limited to staying with yourself. Doing those experiences too can let you meet new people, because there could be other people in the group, and it's definitely a good experience. And speaking of being in a group, you could also look into group tours. So for my Europe trip, a part of the trip I was completely by myself solo, but then I flew to a different city and I met up with a group tour that I had booked, and that was definitely a great experience because solo travelers, there was couples, there was siblings. It was so cool, and there was people from different parts of the world, and we were all in this one group. So we did all of our main traveling together by bus from the different cities, and our accommodations were all together. But even during the day, I would still be exploring these cities by myself pretty much. Or maybe at night, we might meet up with the group again and have dinner. You can still kind of cater it to be your own trip. You don't have to do everything that's required. A part of doing it is because I kind of just wanted to experience that and have other people around for parts of that trip. But also I thought it would be easier for me because at that time I didn't have so much time to be planning, and a lot of it is planned for you. For the money, like obviously they have to make a profit, so you probably are paying more for things. So I probably wouldn't do one again. Ooh, I haven't talked about eating out, but please do not feel afraid to eat by yourself in a restaurant or any type of food establishment. Do it. If you are worried about doing that abroad, test it out in your current location or city if it's safe to. If it's safe or allowed to dine in where you are right now. Another big thing, and I will end with this, is safety. So I talked about this a little bit in the beginning about planning and knowing your location. There's definitely lists online for safest destinations for solo travel or for women solo travelers. And even if a location isn't on that list, it doesn't mean it's not safe, but definitely do your research on the destinations you are heading to. Be alert. Don't leave your things out and around. I usually have locks for my luggages. I mean, I don't know how well they're going to keep them safe, but I have them. I put locks on my luggages and I lock it when I'm not in my room or the Airbnb, whatever. I never keep all of my money together because God forbid you lose your bag or whatever you're traveling with, your phone and stuff. And if everything was in that bag or on the back of your phone, because a lot of people have like the wallet, it's on the back of the phone, you lose everything with that one item being lost or stolen. So definitely keep things separate so you have, just in case this happens, you still have something back up, because you don't want to be in a situation where you lose everything. Just be always mindful of your surroundings. I've had times when I'm traveling by myself and someone's like, "Are you by yourself?" And I'm like, is it your business? I don't say that. If you feel like they're asking in a weird way, you can lie and say, "No, I'm with my friend." And even if your friend's not there, you don't have to explain anything to anyone. And if somebody keeps pressuring you and asking you about that, definitely like tell them to skedaddle, or you can move, but that's none of their business. I've had another instance where one time I was getting brunch at this restaurant and I was instead of sitting at a table, because it was like pretty small, I just went to the bar so I could be seated sooner. And I realized like everybody sitting at the bar was by themselves. Person next to me ended up like, we just had a whole conversation throughout our food, and that was fine. In that instance, they told me like why they were in the city and visiting, and I was explaining my trip, and that situation will happen. Cool. But if you feel like somebody's pressuring to find out if you're by yourself and like asking like where are you staying and being very sketchy, don't give them that information. Make sure you have your phone, and if you have a backup like portable charger with you or charger, that way you are not stranded. Even though so many places are definitely restricted on travel and it's not really that safe, or if you find it safe, whatever, follow the guidelines and keep your safety and health at the top priority. But for others who are waiting or just restricted to travel anyway, now is still a great time for you to plan your solo trip. You could use all the tips so you are prepared. I mean, at the end of the day, there's always stuff that might just pop up anyway, but you want to make sure you are at least prepared and aware of things that could go wrong, and just have a backup plan for your trip. Solo travel has been so fun. I feel like it's relaxing. You can do everything on your own time. Comment down below if you solo traveled before. Let me know where, and if you haven't solo traveled, let me know if you're going to start planning a solo trip. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you at the next video. Bye.